So it's time for another gardening week video, and it looks like it's going to be a busy one. So on Monday I started off with a good old cycle ride, and that always makes a great start to the week for me because it kind of comes after the harvest day, which is not a great exercise day really, you know, just lots of bending down and kneeling down and all that sort of thing. So stretching gets me nice and limber. And then in the afternoon I got to work in the back garden, and that's going to be a bit of a theme really for this gardening week because there's lots to do in the back garden finally. So first thing up was to weed all of the trees and bushes, you know, all the berries, blueberries, raspberries, gooseberries, all those sorts of things. Get all of those fed with the appropriate fertilizers and get them all mulched and watered. So those are all done now and looking really nice. I'm happy with those. And actually, for the first time I noticed this week, we've got cherry blossom on the Rainier cherry tree. Now we've had this tree for quite a long time, I don't know, 6 or 7 years, something like that, and it doesn't really look like a cherry tree. The leaves aren't a typical cherry tree leaf, and it's never blossomed, so you know, there's kind of no way to tell. And so I was getting a bit like, is this actually a Rainier cherry tree, or is it just some random tree? Anyway, it's blossomed. It is cherry blossom, so I think there's a good chance it's a Rainier cherry tree, and those are my absolute favourite cherries. So I'm really excited. We've took a bit of a chance on it because, you know, it's not designed really for this climate, but anyway, we'll see. So on Tuesday I was down on the allotment with Willow, and so she's only little still, like only one, but she's absolutely loving the fact now that she can kind of roam around, crawl around the allotment plot, and everything pretty much that she grabs a hold of and tries to eat is edible. So that is really lovely, and she's already got a taste for spinach and salad onions and pak choy and all sorts of stuff. I mean, she only sucks the juice out of them probably, but still, it's nice to see. And we made some new chocks while we were here to kind of keep some of the beds open, some of the new beds, because it's really warm at the moment, and so you know, we're getting a bit overheated, but of course it's still March, and so I don't want to take the covers off because I really find that often it can kind of turn pretty cold in March and early April, and I want to leave the covers on to, at least I would guess until about mid-April. So yeah, so I was pleased to get that done, and then I was back to the back garden and had a lot to do again there, and mainly it was planting. So I put in my second early peas, and those are all sugar snap varieties of different types, and I put those in my new kind of universal climbing frame that I've got in the back garden, and so I was pleased to get those in because they were looking a bit, you know, like they needed to go in, and I was kind of a bit nervous whether to put them in or not, but I think looking at the long range weather forecast now, there's no issue with putting peas out. So second thing that I did was planted 2 beds of lettuce. I wanted to plant 3, but for some reason a whole batch of lettuce seeds kind of failed to thrive on me, and I'm totally confused as to why. The only thing they have in common is that they're old seeds, but I'm always using old seeds, so I don't really know. I'm kind of slightly worried that I've got a bad batch of compost, but I've never had a bad batch of Levinson's F2, so again, I'm just not sure what's going on. Anyway, doesn't really matter. I got 2 beds in. I'll get another bed in probably next week, and that is going to be fine. And what else did I do? Oh yeah, I put in 2 big beds of Leela salad onions, and in one of the beds I interplanted it with 28 parsnips. So the way I do parsnips is just make a little hole, drop 4 or 5 parsnips in, and then cover them over, and at least one hopefully will germinate. So I do most of my parsnips, in fact all of my parsnips now, interplanted with something. My favourites are onions, either salad onions or main crop onions. They just seem to do really well together, they don't get in each other's way. But the only thing to bear in mind with salad onions in particular is you don't want to pull the whole thing out as one big clump with all the roots attached. That would be quite disruptive to the parsnips kind of on the outer edges of those clumps. So what I do is I just snip the roots off with scissors. Doesn't cause any disruption then, and the parsnips are happy. So I think that's everything that I got planted in the back garden, and I have put fleece over the lettuces, mainly because it's pretty warm at the moment, mainly as a protection from the birds. And it's not that the birds eat the lettuces, it's that they're grubbing around in the soil and they just create a lot of mess of compost that gets all over the leaves of the lettuce and into the hearts of the lettuce, and increases the likelihood they'll rot, and also just increases the amount of cleanup that I've got to do afterwards, after I've harvested them. And what I've also noticed, and I'm kind of fingers crossed on this because it's only something I've noticed and not properly tested, but I've always used tin cans, just Coke cans or whatever, on little bits of cane to hold the fleece off my veggies in the back garden for the first few weeks until they get well established. And again, that's mainly to keep the birds off, but it also acts as a windbreak as well and just keeps them a bit warmer. And then when I take the nets off, I'm lazy and I often just leave the cans in the ground, and it seems to put the birds off going in there and eating the brassicas and whatever, and just generally going in and grubbing around, disturbing the soil. So this time for the salad onions, I've not bothered netting them because it's so warm. I've just put the cans in, and so far I've had no birds going in kind of grubbing around. I don't know whether it's the shiny nature of them, I don't know whether the birds just associate the cans with nets, don't know what it is, but it seems to work. So that was Tuesday. Wednesday I was up in the lakes, and I was actually walking all the way around Windermere. So I went up the west shore, right over the top, up in the hills, and then down through Ambleside, and then back down the east shore. So it was quite a walk, about 20 miles, and so I'm resting my Achilles today. And yeah, so on the west shore, the devastation from the storms was incredible. So many trees have been ripped out of the ground, so many branches fallen off, so many trees just snapped in half, young trees as well, kind of halfway up. Just like, I don't know, maybe 25% of the trees seem to be down on that shore. And then just walking around the country lanes and tracks and things, again, so many trees down, so many uprooted, like out right on the edge of the road and things like that. Really quite shocking to see the amount of devastation, but it's still a really beautiful place to walk. And it looks like it'll kind of naturalise quite quickly and be pretty good. So Thursday is today, and down the allotment again, and mainly what I'm doing today actually is getting ready for a wood chip delivery on Monday, and that entails moving obviously everything off all of the paths. And I have a surprising amount of junk on my paths. All the bricks that I use to hold down the nets, all the bits of wood I use to hold down the nets, random pots and troughs and things, just a lot of junk. And of course, when you take all that up, you just find slugs underneath it. So one of the things people say to me, is how do you prevent slugs and snails? Well, it's basically to have nowhere for them to hide out of the sun. And so, ideally, you'd have a farmer's field, just soil basically and plants, no structures, no mounds, no hillocks, no holes, no bits of wood, no wood chip, nothing, just bare earth and plants. And that would reduce your slugs and snails no end. Just on an allotment, I don't know, it's just not practical. And even if my plot was completely clear and pristine, then there's all the plots around me, and they just come in overnight. So there's only so much you can do. So the only other thing I did really while I was here is I took all of my onion seedlings and all of my carrots from late October, early November last year, sowed at that time, and put them outside now. I've just got 2 tubs left in here, to just accelerate the growth a little bit, and just because the tubs are really heavy, I can't lift them up on top of the RBC tanks on my own. So I think I'll leave at least one if I can find somebody to help me lift the other one up. But that is a downside of 50-litre tubs that you have to lift above your head. Anyway, at my age. So yeah, I'm pleased to get those out, to be honest, because it's just too hot for alliums in the polytunnel now. So they're ready to go out, to be honest. You know, I could plant them out at any time now, between now and sort of, you know, early April, and it's just clearing beds because all the beds are full and they're all being harvested, and I just don't like harvesting to the compost bin when there's people who are happy to eat it. So yeah, anyway, hopefully I'll start planting next week after I've got this wood chip sorted out. So that's it, I think, for Thursday. So it's Sunday, and yesterday was another glorious day, and I was out cycling for most of the day. And today I've just been walking around the plot and taking stock of what we've got to harvest, and it is such a lovely time of year. Of course, the purple sprouting broccoli is all ready now, and you know, that'll be available for the next sort of 3 or 4 weeks, I guess. And also, though, the calabrese, we've got loads and loads, the first succession basically of calabrese heads are ready this week, and then the side shoots from those plants will be ready next week, and then the next succession will be ready the week after, and that will see us through probably until the end of May. And towards the end of May, then the cauliflowers will be coming on stream. It's just a great time to be gardening. Just starting clearing a lot of the overwintered crops, so a lot of the overwintered salad onions that have been grown undercover are just about finishing now. Not finishing in terms of the quality or anything, just finishing in terms of I'm finishing harvesting them. And then we're sort of switching over to the outdoor beds of salad onions. It's that time of year as well when really I'm clearing the last overwintered spinach beds, which are in like a massive profusion of leaves at the moment, which we just can't keep up with. We've kind of contacted every friend of ours and said, like, do you want spinach? Do you want spinach? Just to get rid of it all. Because I'm clearing beds because I need to plant those beds with onions. But also because my new season spinach varieties, things like Red Kitten, they will be ready for harvest next week. So I really don't need these overwintered varieties anymore. I can go over to my favourite spring varieties. And that need to clear beds is very much a theme at the moment because, as I said, I'm mainly planting onions right now, so I'm clearing loads of beds for that. But I'm also clearing beds for my early main crop potatoes, the ones that I'll be harvesting in June and July. And so I need to get those beds cleared and, you know, a few containers cleared and things like that for early new potatoes. I just love it. It's everything. The amount of life and growth going on is just phenomenal. And the best example of that right now is in the polytunnel, looking at all the Asian greens, which are absolutely looking fantastic. And it is a bit of an experiment for me this year, doing the Asian greens at this time of year, because they do naturally go to seed at this time of year, so it's kind of touch and go whether you can get a good crop off them. But right now they're just looking so great. Anyway, I'm going to get on with the harvest, and I'll show you that in a second. Well, I failed this week. My objective is only to have one table full of veg each week, but unfortunately this is just the cooked veg harvest, and all the salads are on another table. I'll show you those in a minute. So next year I'm going to have to figure out how to grow just a little bit less at this time of year, just to even things out a little bit. I just want more stuff in January. So anyway, let me just talk you through what we've got. So we've got all the different kales and Brussels sprout leaves and colette leaves and all of that. Some lovely calabrese and purple sprouting broccoli. So the first pick of the new season Asian greens, which is quite nice. And then we've got loads and loads and loads of spinach. I don't know, like 20 boxes of spinach or something like that. So just masses of spinach. The whole bottom layer of that is spinach. And then we've got chard. Actually, just coming back to the spinach, it's kind of hard to believe that we only had just enough spinach in January. Anyway, spring onion tops, spring onions, and we've got baby leeks, baby celery with a slug in it. Kind of not the end of the carrots, but looking a bit rough now, aren't they? Anyway, hopefully carrots to see us through until May, still in the ground or in store. Quite a few potatoes, so these are the sarpos, these are looking the best. These are the Charlottes, starting to look a bit rough now. These are more sarpos. These are the new season Charlottes, obviously looking much nicer. And some more sarpos over there. And then we've got some parsley, 5 tubs of colettes, 2 really big tubs of field bean tops, and beetroot and onions. And I think we've got 10 onions a week between now and when the new season ones come in, so a reasonable amount. Quite a bit of beetroot still in store, a bit more purple sprouting broccoli, so quite a lot there. I think this is the biggest harvest we've ever done at this time of year. We probably won't equal a harvest of this sort of size, or we might equal it next week, but we probably won't equal it outside of spring until August time, something like that. So here's the salad table, and I'm not laughing at the salad table, I'm laughing at the fact that this is the 3rd time trying to shoot this video after parcel deliveries and microwaves going off and whatever. But anyway, so yeah, loads of salad and salad onions, salad onion tops and radishes, and those radishes now are getting a bit of slug damage on them, which I think is what takes this surface layer of red off them, but still perfectly edible. So yeah, a lot of food today. So I just made these salad boxes up, and Debbie suggested that maybe it's woodlice that are eating these radishes. And also of note, we actually have tomatoes from Lancashire, so just our county, just down the road. And strictly speaking, it's probably not as environmentally as having them flown in from Spain, but it's a nicer feeling. So I hope you like this quick video. My name's Steve, this is the Seaside Kitchen Garden and Allotment channel, and I'll see you soon.